Look at that, it's right on time, 10 a.m. So as the only remaining officer, since we lost a few, I guess I'll kick off our meeting of the Tarrant County Housing Finance Corp. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I think the only two remaining officers are, or the only remaining members are, Judge O'Hare and Commissioner Simmons. So are you here?
Here. Present.
New board member welcome and comments. Welcome. Matt, is Roderick not joining us?
I don't think
Okay,
so.
got it. Well, I guess first order of business is the approval of minutes from November 20th, 2024.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Appointment of officers. I would like to make a motion to appoint Judge O'Hare as president of the Tarrant County Housing Finance Corporation. I'd like to appoint myself as vice president, if okay, and Commissioner Kraus as secretary. That's my motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All righty, well, let's, we're moving along fast. Let's receive and file the fiscal year 2024 financial statements. Does anybody have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, now this one we may actually take a little bit more time on. Consider the revisions to the Tarrant County Housing Finance Corporation application for financing. You presenting this?
I can present this, yes, sir. So you each have before you the current application along with two redlined sections. These two additions reflect the desire of this body to add some security language so that when developers apply, they are sharing with our co-counsel, bond counsel, and FAs, as well as yourselves, their plans for security around their development. And you'd be able to consider that and provide feedback before we move forward. If there's any additional language you'd like to include, we can make changes as part of your motion today if you choose.
Can you walk, for the benefit of Commissioner Kraus, can you kind of walk through the differences
That'd be great.
in last version and this version, and kind of how we got to where we are?
Absolutely. So in your packet, if you, and I'll give you a little bit of background, but what I'm referring to is on page 23 of this item. You'll see two red line sections at the top. So going back to the last meeting, we met in November. A couple of members of this body brought up concerns about planned security improvements. I'm sorry. Were you able to?
Yeah, I got it.
Great. Planned security improvements around their developments, and to that point, that's not information that this body ever considered. Or that was included in this developer application. And so it is prudent to include that. But number 38 that we've added is provide crime statistics and any other relevant public safety data for the last 12 months for the area surrounding the planned development. So we would have them get with the appropriate law enforcement agency, pull any census data or other information that's relevant to that development or that planned development. And then 39 is to provide an outline of safety and security plan for the development. So that could include things like monitored security, on-site guards, keyed access, etc.
So, Commissioner, Vice Chair, Secretary Ramirez, last time we talked about putting, I think, the ability for us to require certain things.
Yep.
Do you remember exactly what we said there?
Now, we had discussed, in the general safety plan, certain things that, that technology has provided, like flock cameras and this type of stuff. I don't know if it's appropriate that we prescribe what they do specifically. But yes, we did discuss that. If there are ideas or if there's a way we can prescribe, what are y'all's opinions?
I certainly think that there should be security requirements. The concept is just fine. I wonder how cost prohibitive it could be for some to do all of this. So I like the fact that we're saying a security plan without telling them exactly what technology to use, what this or that to use. I think that's just a bit of overreach.
So
Ultimately, you'll
what these two things say here are, give us this data or give us this plan. I thought last time there was some discussion about if you want to require something, we're going to have to change something in the application. And maybe I'm misremembering it. I very well could be.
You have the authority as a body to deny an application and not move forward with an inducement resolution if you choose, if the requirements don't meet your expectations.
Right.
So this would be, tell us your plan. You would have an opportunity to review those plans. If they don't meet your satisfaction, then we could go back to the developer and say, considering the statistics in this area or the history, we would like to see ABC. So it will be more of a case-by-case basis than a blanket requirement.
And so, practically speaking, they fill out these forms, the application. They don't give us a lot. Let's say there's an outline of, here's our security plan. And we're going to have a fence and we'll have lights on, which every single apartment complex on earth has lights and a fence, right? Just about. So let's just say it's something like that. Do we not want to have something, and I guess we can do it as a play it by ear. Let's see how it goes, and I'm not even sure I'm saying we should do this. It's more of a question. Should we put something in place where if crime statistics are higher than the average for the city or anything, any kind of measurable, this, and this are required versus, well, give us a plan. Okay, we don't like the plan. We'd like to see some more stuff. Well, what would you like to see? Well, you could do this, you could do that, just bring us another plan. I've been part of a city government where there were no firm, hard rules or things where they knew to follow, so it was just a guessing game, and then they'd go back to the drawing board and delay them 2 more months and come back, oh, that's not good enough either. This is just very, hey, show us what you got. Do we not want a little more in there that gives them the, here's what we're expecting if A, B, C, D, E? Or do you think that's not something we can put into an application? And that question's for everyone.
Well, and really on these specific plans, I agree with you. Vague has the opportunity to delay good projects too, because we really don't know what's needed in an area. But one additional step, and you'd have to have the collaboration with the cities, but it's essentially getting an endorsement from the city in which, or the police department of the city in which this project's going to be, because the police department's going to say, well, listen, we already have these issues. This is what we would like to see. And maybe that's a bridge too far because we're asking another body to get involved. But again, I understand what you're saying. If we just put this vague requirement out there and then it's all subjective, we're saying, well, we don't like this, we like that.
Well, look at the sentence on 38. Provide crime statistics. What crime statistics? Then, and other relevant public safety data. What's other relevant public safety data? Fire calls, police calls? What would that be? And then, the area surrounding the property development area. What's that area? A block? 2 square miles? 300 yards? This is just the most vague, here, give us something. It doesn't really seem to be accomplishing what we seem to majority say we wanted to do with at the last meeting.
Commissioner?
Yes, to your point, I agree that it's vague. If we add more language, or specific language, I would recommend that we bring in a security consultant to help us with that language, so it's not just us trying to come up with it or trying to get with the police department in that jurisdiction. I think we bring in an expert that helps us come up with this language. So you and I aren't saying, you know, he's saying a flock system, and I'm saying, well, you know, I've been in public safety for all this time, I know about this. I think we bring in somebody that helps us.
Yeah, we have one person on here that actually has real life experience with this, but you don't necessarily know it all and what to do here, what to do
Even
there.
technology changes, and for certain areas, I mean, you may want to prescribe bike officers riding through, I mean, there's different things for different areas.
And you're right about the area, the block. What are we talking about? A block? Because those crime statistics she gave us last time that were high,
Yeah.
well, the hell, that was the address of the Walmart,
Yeah.
and it was shoplifting.
Yeah.
It's like, so you want the people that are applying for this to know what you want.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then how do they know what you want from this? They don't.
Right.
So then you don't want them to go to staff and say, well, what do you think they want? Well, they'd like to see this, they'd like to see that. Well, I think they want this. Well, how do they know? That's what, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
Jonathan?
I think we bring somebody in.
Just a suggestion, but there's no reason that we can't refine this as we go on. So with the open questions of exactly what information we'd want to see and how, one way you could skin this cat is to go with this as kind of your preliminary option. See what kind of information gets submitted the first time. Now, the first time that information gets submitted, you may say this is too much or too little.
What if the first time it's wonderful?
Then you amend
Amend
this
it,
plan.
yeah.
Then you say, these are exactly the kind of things that I would want to see. Let's make this the standard going forward. You could.
I don't mind passing this today to have something at least more than we have now. I don't want to wait and see what some developer puts in and then use that to say, oh, here's what we want to add. That we're not going to do that.
Well, and what's not built in here is what happens if they provide us with this great plan, but they don't perform.
But they don't, I'm sorry.
Perform.
Yeah,
Are
that's
there
not in here.
annual checks? I mean, we're putting, they've got to give us a plan, but there's no duty to perform
Yeah,
on
policy
that
versus
plan,
performance.
right? Like, there's no teeth in the policy to say,
Trust but
what happens if
verify,
you
right?
don't? Yeah.
So going back to you can say, so they give us a plan, we don't like it. And this is kind of the problem that developers run into with cities where it's not laid out.
Yeah.
And that is, well, what do you want? Well, you don't know. There's 5 different people that may want something different. I mean, so you kind of got to give some guidelines. So again, putting something in there now, but this is just simply somebody threw 2 sentences in there. And this is, I don't believe, what we were discussing when we were sitting here last time.
And do you guys have, I'm always a best practices type person, other, access to other HFCs? Do they have this type of language requirement in their policies or documents? Can you go check it out? Do you guys have access to security experts that you can go out and, you know, RFP for? And
I think this is unique, this particular request, which is not to say that it's not a completely valid
Security can
and
be
warranted request, but I do think it's unique as far as what I know and from the research that I did when this conversation got going into what other HFCs are doing, as far as whether or not our firms can kind of provide the security expertise to review. I think the answer, at least for Kelly Hart, is probably not.
okay,
I
well,
think that's-
I guess, can we go out for bid on security firms? And
Yeah.
Yeah, because remember, the goal here, and I don't really care how we get there, the goal here is to make sure that we're not inducing or sponsoring properties that are going to create a public safety concern 5, 10, 15 years down the road, not just for the existing areas, but for the residents of these properties. I mean, a lot of the times, and that's what you see in the data, is the folks that move into low-income housing, they become the victims of other folks that come in. And so that's the operative here. I really don't care how we get there. It's just, we've got to make sure that we've got a policy that doesn't set future HFC boards up
Sure.
to sponsoring, bad properties or properties that are going to diminish the value of a community.
Understood.
Why don't you go to some cities There are cities all over the place. I know Farmers Branch has one because I put it in. When it comes to dealing with apartment complexes requirements.
Okay.
Go look at some cities, and you can go to that one specifically because I know I passed one. Go look at what the requirements are, and we can incorporate them in here or put some stuff in. And that's a thing where we can start. Are y'all,
I move that
I'd
we
rather
table
have
this.
this than nothing at the moment.
Do you?
I'd rather have that than nothing, in case something comes in before we do this, but if we really are gonna wait until April, that should give y'all plenty of time
Yeah.
to come back with all sorts of ideas, how to beef this up, do the walk around, whatever you wanna do, where we're looking at it and we can see, okay, now this is a robust thing that we can actually do. That's what I would do.
Absolutely, we can do that, and we'll also need to discuss the mechanism for ongoing monitoring, because it likely won't be via this application, it's gonna have to be something, a different.
And you can require them to submit, I mean, you can do all, you
We can.
can create whatever you
Yes,
want.
we can.
You can require
For them to
them
come
to
back.
say, give
Annual
us
report.
an annual
Yes.
report
Yep.
on all this information.
Yes,
You can
we
do
can
all
do
kinds
that.
of
Because
things.
functionally, how it works right now is whenever you have properties that are not safe, and we have properties that are creating a security concern, they call the local mayor, the local council members. When it comes back to us for tax credit purposes, I mean, all the rest, there's a lot of, it's all behind the scenes and there's nothing official. There's no teeth in anything. It's just, you get citizen complaints and no one really knows who can solve the problem. And so we need something that says, look, if you don't perform, if not this, then that.
I was gonna move to table it because it sounds like there's a bunch of stuff that we want them to do, but somebody can make a motion to approve it, and like he said, we can always come back
So
and,
is that a motion to approve it?
sure.
Paul-
I move approval of the draft language we
We have a
have here
second?
today.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Kristen, for digging into this at all, though. I mean, it's important going forward. Next item on the agenda, public comments. Do you have anybody signed up to speak from the public? All righty. Board, staff announcements, and comments.
Future agenda item, I think numero uno is what we just discussed.
Yeah.
Give us multiple options, multiple things to go through, and we can all look at it in advance.
In advance.
In our next scheduled meeting, does anybody else have other agenda items that you'd like to see? Commissioner, do you have anything specific?
No, I'm good.
Okay, and our next scheduled meeting will be April 8th at 10 a.m. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor? We're adjourned. Thank you, guys.
I'd like to congratulate you on your term as chair.